Today, I'm going to show you my go-to method for inspiring creative thinking. It's really easy. I use it anytime, anywhere, on whatever project I'm working on. This is how it works. You may have noticed my videos are always 3 minutes and 33 seconds. This is intentionally put there as a creative constraint to force me to think laterally on how I can take all of my footage and condense it down into 3 minutes and 33 seconds. It was inspired when I was working on my tiny home, which forces you to get really creative in thinking like, okay, what do I need? How can I make this work? How can this be multifunctional? By putting creative constraints and limitations on anything, it forces your brain to think about it a little bit differently. As a bonus, by intentionally putting creative constraints in place to help think more laterally, your brain gets used to seeing obstacles as opportunities and using them to your advantage rather than things kind of preventing you from doing or thinking the way you want. Like deciding what wood to use for my ceiling and flooring, I limited myself by renting a U-Haul to use for one day and choosing one location to get all my wood. So now I'm forced to get creative within my parameters to figure out the material to use. Or like when you have one shovel and you have to clear a whole U-Haul parking lot. Sometimes you gotta get creative with only uncovering certain spots. Or like when there's a home that you're interested in looking inside of, but you don't have the key. You're forced to get creative with how you see what's inside. Not bad. Or like when you're looking for a lot in the city that's big enough to also put a tiny home. Sometimes you have to get creative with how you use the space. I think this could work though. Or like when you don't have the right seasonings or you're limited to what ingredients you have, you're forced to maybe try something new or come up with something perhaps even better than what you would have originally gone to had you had what you needed or you had all the things you wanted. I remember the first thing that made me think of using parameters to inspire creativity was Instagram, because you were forced to figure out in a square, because that's all they allowed when they first launched, how to take a photo, which isn't what we're used to. So you were forced within the 1x1 dimensions of photo taking to find something that looked pleasing. And then I realized, wow, this actually makes me take better photos. Or more creative photos. Or should I actually say, it just forced me to have a different perspective, a more lateral lens towards photo taking, which in my opinion kind of sparked a little more creativity. Another great example is journaling. If you were just to give a book with empty pages and say, here, start journaling, it's kind of hard to know like where to start. You could like, where do I start? What do I start writing about? Whereas when you have a journal with prompts that cue you in on certain things to start on, it's really easy to kind of just get going with certain constraints. And it looks like we are out of time, so goodbye.